All right, Leona. Leona, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I'm from north of Chicago, about an hour, town called Grays Lake.
Okay, suburb of Chicago.
Yeah,
And tell me about your family growing up. You had mom and dad?
yeah. Very supportive, loving parents. Yeah,
A good
little
child?
brother.
Good childhood?
Just yeah.
What kind of kid were you in high school?
Overachiever, student athlete. I was in the top 10 in state track in the 1600 meters is my best event, every year.
So you're a good student?
Yeah, I was a good student and athlete, and I had a good high school career.
Do you go to college as well?
Yes. I went to Rice University.
Oh, wow.
And ran track there and did well in track, and steeplechase was my event, and was ranked in the top 20 in my last year of college in steeplechase.
So I'm going to ask the obvious question. How did you end up working in a strip club if you have such a nice career as a student?
So if you spend any time in strip clubs, maybe you have.
I've been
there. There's a whole range of girls with different experiences, and I've worked with girls with master's degrees. So stripping I went into it interested in the feminist question of, I'd read some articles and things, that there was talk at the time 5 years ago, and there still is talk about sex work and stripping being empowering. And so I went into it with that question in mind. And I am somebody who loves movies and costume and performance and dance. And I'm somebody that wants to challenge any kind of preconceptions or biases I might have, and biases that other people have, and to investigate stigma. My mom has very traditional sorts of outlooks on things, and about sex work, prostitution, all these things, and I wanted to investigate that because I didn't believe the stories that she was telling about it, and the way that the media talks about stripping and sex work. So I went into it with all these questions, and it's been a really fascinating 5 years of, and a lot of discovering that actually, yes, all of the,
All of the
some of
preconceived.
the way that society wants to pigeonhole sex workers and tell one story about sex work, and about strippers, and all these stereotypes about strippers, and about women. A lot of it carries over to women, and of course the truth is more complicated. So
It always is.
yeah.
Is this almost like an experiment for you, or are you trying to survive and pay bills?
I could do other things. I have a degree, and I'm going to school now. So, but it's something that has continued to draw me in. And initially, I was working retail when I came here, and I mean, the irony, the obvious thing for me with people talking about strippers and sex workers selling their bodies. I was selling my body, selling my time, selling my emotional labor and my intelligence to a company working retail 40 hours a week, making maybe $2,000 a month for that. People who work minimum wage jobs at McDonald's, they're selling their time and their bodies and everything for pennies. Not pennies, but not a livable wage. And so I think that sex work and stripping is just it's more lucrative, and gives you a lot more flexibility to pursue other things, to invest your time in passion projects, things that actually actualize yourself. So it's a great gig. So I've stuck with it for that too.
You like the money you're making?
Yeah, I mean, the money is great. The flexibility is great. The people, my coworkers are fantastic. Like even running women's track, I've never felt more camaraderie and like more a part belonging to a group of women as I do among strippers.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, just really independent-minded, creative women, and just down to earth. Like, I mean, strippers don't hold on to this pretension about being a pure or like woman, you know. And I think all of that is BS, and I've learned that through this work.
You're at a topless club, not a fully nude club, right?
I worked at fully nude club. I've worked at fully nude clubs. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a difference? I've worked the gamut of different.
Is there much difference between the two?
The nude clubs are typically set up as gentlemen's clubs, where you do spend a lot of time in like VIP rooms.
No, but in terms of the type of women that will work there, and
there's a little bit of there's a spectrum just in terms of what women are comfortable with. Women of all different backgrounds work in every different type of club, but it just depends on what they're comfortable with, like exposing their bodies, and that's a personal decision.
Yeah. Are there some of the stereotypical girls that are lost and on drugs that are working at some of the clubs you've been to?
Yes.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a situation that happens, but at the same time, for people that are lost and they don't have many options, sex work will always be there. And I just find it so outrageous and makes me so mad that our government and our laws and our culture and our people can't stand beside and behind women who do sex work, because sex workers provide a valuable service in society. They provide companionship, emotional support, physical touch, love for customers. Customers also face taboo in this industry, and the politics of the way that politicians talk about sex work, or like sex trafficking is part of the discussion too. It's all political, and they are trading on the power of a puritanical tradition in American society and gaining power from that, and it's just disgusting. It makes me really mad at the hypocrisy of it.
I know you're not a prostitute, but do you think prostitution should be legalized?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the oldest profession. The arguments against it are crazy to me, because so people talk about sex trafficking. Of course, that's a problem, and it's a grave problem. And at the same time, there will always be women who want to sell sex and should be able to and have a right to have sex on their own terms, whatever those terms are, with anyone they want. And why should we not protect the women that want to do this consensually on their own terms? There's trafficking in many other industries, housekeeping, farming, and yet we don't shut down those industries and make them illegal because we're concerned about the people. And of course we should be concerned about people that are trafficked. But it doesn't excuse abandoning the welfare of sex workers.
In your family, you have a father in your life as well?
Oh yeah. I have a great relationship with both my parents.
And they know you're doing this?
Yeah.
What was their reaction?
My dad's pretty amused by it. I think he thinks of it as a phase. That's fine.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
You're 30.
Mm-hmm. My mom hates it. She's, as I said, has traditional outlook on these things. And I've had so many frustrating, circuitous conversations with her about stripping and prostitution and everything and my views. And it always comes down to her saying, well, I'll never see, I'm just different. You're not going to convince me. And she can't, with anyone that you really dig in on those arguments against sex work, there's no reasons behind it. It's always just comes down to, well, it's just me. I can't change. So that's always a red flag for bias and bigotry, honestly.
Yeah. Well, your Midwestern parents are probably.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
Not
like
as open-minded about this kind of stuff as
right,
maybe somebody else.
More conservative. They're not real risk takers. But I mean, they've done well in life, and I respect their decisions in life. But they don't really, they don't necessarily understand it.
But the other areas of your life seem to be. I don't know you very well. I mean, are you into drugs at all?
No.
And you're going to school.
Yeah.
And you look healthy as can be. So, and you're intelligent. So it seems like you could probably claim that you're just doing this, just for the money, and it's probably good exercise, right?
It is good exercise. It's, as I said, it's a lot of things for me. It's been very meaningful to me, and I care. I've been involved with activism within the industry to try to change it. Strip clubs are very exploitative environments for the women that work there. The vast majority of dancers are not paid to work, not even a minimum wage, and it's all based on what you can make in tips. And so actually the first club I worked at, I ended up getting fired after a year because I brought up the labor law problems. I was like, we're not independent contractors, we're clearly employees. We have to work on your terms as the owners of the club. And they said, well, if you don't like the rules, you can leave. They were charging late fees for scheduling. And it's like, if I'm an independent contractor, you can't tell me when I'm going to work and charge me for being late. So I ended up suing them. I got a settlement and that's what happens when strippers sue strip clubs, they win because the law is cut and dried, and it's even clearer in California than it was before. So I've been down that road, and now strippers are classified. The AB5 law that passed in 2018 makes it very clear that strippers and a lot of other people who are commonly misclassified are employees. It makes the test simpler, the legal test. And as employees, you can unionize. I mean, strippers were always employees, could always unionize, but now it's very clear. And so that's the next frontier for the industry right now. And there was actually a club in the 90s called the Lusty Lady in San Francisco, and it was a peep show, and those girls unionized. And it's an amazing story. There's good books about it that some of the girls have written. And then the owners sold them the club, and they ran it as a worker co-op for a decade. And so that's a very inspirational story going forward. I want to make change within the industry before I transition into the next phase of my life. And so yeah, it's kind of an exciting time. I worked with a group called Strippers United that works on this problem, and and now I'm working with a few other dancers to start a stripper co-op. We want to do pop-up shows and raise money to ultimately open our own club and run it ourselves, and that's how it should be done. I mean, the women, the strippers and sex workers should be in control of their work because it's their bodies on the line. They should get all the profits, and we need to be in control. Why should anyone else be making money off of our bodies?
Yeah. So it sounds like often I'll ask somebody if they get depressed or anxious or angry or anything about doing sex work, and I assume your answer is no.
It's a hard job. I mean, there are bad days at work for sure. I think of strippers and sex workers as on the front lines of misogyny. because of the stigma in society. That's part of it, but it's part of it just some men are pigs and assholes, and you have to face the brunt of that, and it does get hard. But I watched another one of your interviews. One of the girls said it was very character building, and it is. And you develop a way of brushing off the negativity. It's very strengthening, I think. And the women who've been in the industry for a long time are just masters at negotiation and sales and keeping a cool head and making their money, and it's much respect for them.
There's probably some great skills you're learning from doing this that you can apply towards other careers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of women go on to be real estate agents and do really well because they're great at making the sale, and and it's just there's so many skills. I mean, therapists, women go on to be therapists too, because those are all the skills that you're using in the job. You're having to appeal to, when you sit down with a customer, you have to appeal to what you think they want. And that's what sales is about. I'm not a very good salesperson because I have a hard time just like really reading people. I'm kind of just come to it as myself, and I'm just like, well, this is what you get. But for the women that are natural salespeople, my mom is a salesperson. She's the same way. Like, I have a lot of respect for that. And there's so I was thinking on the way over here, like, I was an athlete, I was an elite athlete, and professional athletes, it's also a short-lived career. And you do have to think about transitioning out of it. And yet when I left running in college, they were like, put this on your resume. It'll be a great benefit, and people will see how hardworking you are and how you can manage your time. And strippers should be able to put that on their resume, and it should be something that people have respect for, because it's very hard work, and it uses so many interpersonal skills. Like, people talk about soft skills. It's just like, it's the most you can do. I say that strippers and sex workers get paid to do what society normally expects of women just to do for free, which is to be emotionally supportive, to be beautiful, and to do all these things that people talk about, like, as, soft skills, being personable and everything. And I don't know, women work hard in society. Strippers work really hard, and we should be acknowledged and celebrated for that.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the men that come to the strip clubs.
That's another thing that people want to paint a broad picture of the strip club customer. My mom says, I told her I met a billionaire in the strip club, and I did. He started in the film industry early on and created a VFX company, visual effects, and was in on the early stages of it, and he made a ton of money, and now he works on different passion projects. He's, got restaurants and everything like that, and he's a billionaire. And she couldn't believe it. She wants to think that all strip club customers are just like, ogres and whatever, people who are desperate and like don't have a life or whatever. But that's the stigma and that customers face. And you meet a whole spectrum of people in the strip club. And it's people that are seeking out that companionship and a lot of cases. And sometimes people just want to have a fun time and party. We are entertainers and friends to customers. And, but yeah, I mean, of course there's disgusting men that come in that don't want to spend any money. If you go to a strip club, you've got to bring money to spend on the girls, period. You can't show up at the strip club and expect to spend 4 hours there with like $50 in your pocket. I'd say like $100 for like an hour or maybe 2 if you want to stretch it, but don't stretch it, be generous. You're going to a temple of where you can have the opportunity to worship women and everything that, that women are about, and also, and femininity and all these concepts we have about women. And yeah, so it's very frustrating sometimes, especially. It's mostly frustrating when guys are cheap.
What have you learned about men from doing this?
I think, the biggest thing is just, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just, like, being honest. And, I think, the biggest thing is just men are also confined by the stereotypes and expectations of them in society. The gender binary hurts both sides. Yeah, I think men struggle with the same things that women struggle with for the same reasons, basically. Men really want to get in touch with their sensitive side, and feel like romantic emotions. Like a lot of times, like guys at the club, customers, it's just wonderful to kind of see them like kind of melt before you and get, be really mesmerized by a beautiful performance. A lot of them appreciate the art of the dancing. And some men just, men have privilege in society, and you can see that come through a lot too, with their lack of understanding for some of the struggles that women go through, or they just have sort of single-mindedness, and don't have a lot of, like, I guess they have a harder time kind of like thinking about people around them. So, men are complicated. I guess I can't say that I've learned anything specific about men, just that everyone's human.
Mm-hmm. What's the craziest thing you've seen working? You've been working how long in the clubs?
For like 5 years.
5 years?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen some crazy stuff, I assume?
I don't know. I mean,
no? Does doing this kind of work undermine your self-esteem, or does it build it up? It sounds like it builds it up.
No, yeah. I have a lot of I love being naked on stage. It's just like I feel great about my body, and I think being naked and flaunting your stuff can feel really good. So I've built skills. I'm gaining a lot of confidence just after five years kind of maturing as a stripper. I'm really gaining a lot of, I feel very rewarded by being an escape for people, that people can come to the club, like regular customers, and meet with me, and they can just like escape their lives into this and having a wonderful entertainment, time, and finding refuge in me as somebody that can just listen to what's going on in their lives. Mm-hmm. And it's an escape for them.
It's almost like you're a therapist sometimes.
Yeah. And that's part of what we do. And it's very rewarding to be able to be that for someone. So that's also empowering.
Does it affect your personal life, your romantic life?
Just in terms of the time I have a wonderful boyfriend who supports what I do, and we're very much in love. And so only to the extent that, working takes time.
You're working crazy hours.
No, not really. I work like 2 or 3 nights a week. But I guess I'm just reflecting on this last week. This last week was crazy because I had to do some sewing for a friend and for a film shoot, and I don't know. And then it was his birthday, so we had a party on Saturday. But so sometimes life gets in the way of quality time with your partner, as it does for anybody, I guess.
You're probably the exception to most of the girls working in these clubs, though, I would think.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I work with women who have very, like, I guess, normal lives, like women who own houses because of the success they've had in the industry, and everyone is living their life. I don't know. I mean, I think people would be shocked, like people who haven't really met strippers, if they spend any time in the dressing room, to hear girls talk about, I'm really busy with schoolwork, or I like families, and some women have kids and they're working to support their families, and just regular people like doing a job. And I think some younger girls get kind of sucked into the party lifestyle. That can happen because you are a professional entertainer. But I think like a lot of young women go to college and get sucked into the party lifestyle. It's just being young, and younger strippers, baby strippers sometimes spend their money on designer stuff and don't save it as much. But I mean, I was prone to that. I spent like $4,000 in Marc Jacobs like within a month when I first came to LA. So everybody's prone to that. I think we can all understand that.
What would you say is the most important thing you've learned in your life?
In my life?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big question.
It is.
The most important thing, I mean, I guess I'm learning to accept like the humanity of people, that everyone makes mistakes, to accept mistakes in myself that I've made, and be just more accepting of everyone's struggle. And I do a lot of meditation, and I've kind of studied meditation, and I suppose, accepting people for who they are. And through meditation, I've sort of developed kind of like a deterministic worldview, I guess you could say. I think that if it was, and actually the club kind of taught me this, if it was going to happen, it was always going to happen. If it doesn't happen, it was never going to happen. Because if you're comparing yourself to other girls getting dances with or you talk to a customer for like 20 minutes and then, he says, oh, I don't really want to dance right now. You're like, okay, I'll check back with you. And then another girl sits down and he takes her off right away. That's not personal to you. And there's nothing you could have done about it. If he was never going to get a dance with you, he just never was. And the other girl was what he was looking for. And so that's been a really great learning experience. When I say meditation, you're meditating and you're supposed to observe basically the flow of your experience, your thoughts, sounds, feelings, and just see them float through your consciousness. And you realize that you don't think your thoughts just pop into your mind. And then, after the fact, we ascribe control to ourselves and to our thoughts, and we think, oh, I thought that, or I could have done differently. If you actually think about the past, could you have really done anything differently than you have in your life? And I don't think so. And so that's about accepting people for who they are. Everyone's born into this world in certain circumstances and have certain personalities and tendencies, and we just live out our lives, and our environment changes and things we don't have control over. And I really don't think we have much control over anything and the bottom of it. So, yeah.
Interesting. All right, Leona, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Good luck out there.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.